Hi everybody, Scott with TriMed Tactical. We're going to talk to you today about some wound packing and some wound packing techniques. And first of all, when we go to wound pack, this is something that it's a hemorrhage, it's a massive bleed that we cannot get a tourniquet on. You know, this is a non-compressible area, usually in our axillary areas, maybe down on our groin, just something that we can't get a good tourniquet placement on. A couple things to remember when we're packing wounds. We want to kind of pack that toward the heart first. So what I mean by that is as we have our little wound packing trainer device here, what we're going to imagine is that the heart is this direction. So our arteries are going to be running this way. You kind of want to pack towards the heart first. You want to make sure whatever material you're using to pack this wound is making contact with that artery as best it can be, and then we'll start filling in the other direction as we go. A couple other things to remember, wound patching can be done with any type of gauze, any type of material. If you are carrying something like a hemostatic agent, we do want to leave that hemostatic agent. The idea is to get that hemostatic agent down into contact where the bleeding is taking place. And in most IFAKs, and I know the HRT IFAKs, what we're carrying is going to be combat gauze, the quick combat gauze. Now this is what your pack would look like in that kit. I'm going to set that to the side, and we're going to use the training gauze in this case. So when we go to do that, of course, we're going to want to open the package. And in a very controlled fashion, this is Z-folded, by the way, so I've seen a lot of people, to control their end of this, they stick it in their shirt, their jacket, their pocket, just to kind of control that in. I do like to keep it in my hand. I have control over it, I know where it's at, and know how much I have is the important part. So as we go to start packing this, remember, we don't want to shove balls and balls and balls of this down there at a time, because what's going to happen is you're not going to get as much of this agent that this has been treated with, and you're not going to get that to make contact with the bleeding area. So we really want to do this as quickly as we can, but remember, as accurately as we can too. So we want to start that in a fingertip at a time, and be ready. There's going to be some material, some blood, some tissue like that come in. And we just want to, again, see, it's not big chunks at a time, it's small, and I'm kind of packing this back towards where the heart would be, okay? And we want to really get this tight. Remember, you know, when we talk about ballistics, it's not just the entrance hole that we're looking at. Many times we're going to have something created by cavitation. So what you may see on this outside being a small, 1-inch diameter with a whole entrance wound, and if we have significant cavitation in that wound, this could be a large, kind of like I'm dealing with right now, it could be a very large cavernous wound, and this is going to absorb a lot more gauze or material than you might possibly think. And you really want to get this down in there tight. Remember, really pushing through tissue. Something to be very careful of and aware of. If this is a fetal wound, just keep in mind, if that has struck the bone, you're going to have shards of sharp bone in there, and you want to kind of be very gentle and assess that situation as well too, so you don't cut yourself inside a very large bleeding open wound. So, making good progress here, getting this stilled in. Now, something to remember is as we start to get to the end of this, if this wound absorbs every bit of material that we have here, and it may very well do that, be prepared for your next roll of gauze. All right, we are kind of getting there. Be prepared with your next roll of gauze, and keep in mind, we just don't want that flush with the wound. We want to take our next roll of gauze, and this is just North American Rescue. This is S-folded gauze. Same thing as like a roll of Kerlix. It's your 4.5 inches wide, 4.1 yards, completely stretched out of just white cotton gauze. That is pretty well packed in there. Very tight. If there's anything going on bleeding in there, I promise you it is dramatically slowed down or stopped. Now what we do like to see at this point is kind of extend this out, and we'd like to see an inch or two of gauze, maybe wadded up on top of that, and then now we're going to hold pressure. Now, how long you hold pressure, the recommendation with hemostatic agents could be 3 minutes. If you're not using hemostatic agent and you're just using straight gauze, the recommendation is 5 minutes. Sometimes that's tactically possible, and sometimes it's not. Just hold pressure as long as you can. The pressure is certainly going to help tamp off that blood flow. And then when you're confident and comfortable that you got that stopped, that's when we want to finish this off with some kind of finish and dressing, whether that is ideally an emergency trauma dressing, or it could be something as simple as an A-strap or something like that. And then, of course, once we get that wrapped up and secured, when we start calling that evacuation, this is certainly something, as with everything, anytime you move a patient, you're going to reassess that and make sure, A, the bleeding has significantly slowed down, preferably stopped, and you want to make sure that these bandages on top aren't getting blood soaked, indicating that what we've done has not worked and we may have to consider something else. All right, guys, that finishes up packing this wound. Now, I just kind of want to demonstrate right now just how much of this material made it into this wound. So keeping in mind that our combat gauze package is very similar to what our rolled gauze or our Z-folded gauze or our S-rolled gauze would be. It's about 4 to 4.1 yards of material. So starting with this, on this second roll, I did manage to get probably a good foot in here, so let's remove that. This looks like it was more like 8 to 12 inches there. Now, when we pull this out, something to also note is, on the top, you kind of have a candy stripe effect, but once we get down into that wound, if you've done this properly, you're going to see a solid red line down through there, indicating that as much contact as possibly be made against that bleed has happened. So just want to show you how much of this gauze that it took to completely pack this wound. And here's another roll that we might start with. All right. So just imagine 4 yards, that's 12 feet of this material that made it into a hole that really is not much bigger than an inch in diameter, but we managed to get well over 4 yards of material into this wound. So with that, guys, that is a little quick how we pack the wound, and I'm Scott with TriMed Tactical. Thanks for watching.